Billy here with Gilbert Travels. Come along with me on the inOui train from here at Paris Charles De Gaulle Airport over to Strasbourg on the German border. This is a continuation of my review of Air France business class, as this train ticket was purchased as a single fare along with my award redemption on Air France's Air Plus Train ticket program. So you get off here at the airport and then you get on the train right here at the same station inside of the airport and continue on to your final destination. Honestly, Air France's website on this Air&Rail service leaves some things to be desired. I guess we could have checked our bags, which was not clear on. It didn't look like inOui allows to check bags, so I don't know. I guess we'll be bringing them on. 20 minutes before departure, your train is given a platform embarkation door. Simply follow the signs for those platforms at the far end of the station, have your ticket scanned, and head down the escalators to the trains. It took us a second to figure out which car was ours. However, we made it on board, the doors closed, and right on time, this train starts its whisper-silent journey out of the station. On board this first-class car, there are rows of seats in a 1-2 configuration, changing directions around a central table, meaning some riders will always face backwards. Seats were automatically assigned, and I could not find a way of changing the selection when using the Air Plus Rail service. We'll have a look through the seat a little bit more once we get rolling out into the countryside. I was assigned one of the single seats, which was trimmed in a supportive cloth material with a fold-down armrest. Forward of your seat, you'll find a small drink holder, a phone-sized storage area, a device clip to hold a tablet or small laptop, a folding footrest, and a large tray table. The seat chart changes when the train switches direction, so on top of your seat you'll find a lighted display confirming the current seat number. Wi-Fi was available, and I used it to check on our speed, which clocked in at 295 km per hour, right under the train's top speed of 300. Streaming entertainment was also offered as well, similar to what many airlines are doing these days. Views on board these high-speed trains are obstructed by berms and fences meant to keep down the noise and distraction from local residents. However, it is a more open route than the Amsterdam to Paris ride I took on board Thalys' high-speed train in 2019. While there are some non-stop options between Paris and Strasbourg, this train was operating as part of a larger itinerary that made stops prior to the airport, and we had 3 additional stops on our way out tonight, including this one in Champagne, the home of... well, do I have to explain that one to you? While we've now gotten on the subject of French wine, this has me in the mood to visit the dining car on board this evening's train called Le Bar. Le Bar is a casual standing concept with counters available for dining and these uniquely elongated windows that are not found elsewhere on board. In theory, this restaurant advertises quite an extensive menu of available food and beverages, with fancy fare on board such as duck confit and selections inspired by French top chef contestants. In reality, at least if you wait until the final hour remaining on a long train journey like this, most of these items have been sold out, if they were even catered to begin with. This traveling American was left with just the selection of a cheeseburger, which came with the choice of cold beverage and dessert. Those were also mostly out, so I was left with an exciting combination of mineral water and yogurt. The burger was definitely more fast food than gourmet, but it hit the spot well enough. Overall, Le Bar gets more points for style than substance from me. I then poked my nose out at the next stop for some fresh spring countryside air And we were onward again as the day started to wind to a close and I returned to my seat. While we continue our way towards Strasbourg this evening, let's talk a little bit more about the actual Air plus Rail process with Air France. Whether booking with cash, or as I was in this case, as part of an award booking, destinations served by partial rail service like Strasbourg are well labeled in the results page as shown. So it's fairly transparent, both stating in red text that part of the journey is by train and by showing the operating train line, in this case SNCF. That, frankly though, is about as far as the transparency of the process extends. You see, Air France doesn't really have a dedicated way to display the services that the train does or does not provide compared to their flights. So for instance, in the app, you were told about seat selection, baggage, and a meal, none of which can you actually do within the app itself. In fact, as far as I can tell, there's no way to assign yourself seats when flying on one of these combination tickets. No meal or even drink is provided to these first-class ticket holders. And while apparently I could have checked luggage, I'm not really sure how I could have known that prior to arriving at the train terminal, at which time the ability to check in had already expired. Air France's website, itself having many known glitches, is a little more transparent in that it doesn't mention seat or meal selection. But really, Air France needs to come up with a way to provide more assistance or clarification for first-time rail transfer guests. I'm hoping for you that this video can help. You see, the Air France website contains just one page to explain these plane plus train trips, and it's not exactly easy to find, and it really only mentions to you that your train journey will commence within 24 hours of your flight arrival and that you must retrieve your checked bags at the airport prior to getting over to the train. Importantly, they do also mention that the retrieval of your tickets can be done at 72 hours before your journey, which allows you to bypass the office. You do receive an email as well at that time frame, and a note when checking in for your flight that you can retrieve your tickets using a service called Access Rail. Indeed, it's a seemingly simple enough process, providing PDF boarding documents to be printed out and brought to the station for scanning on board by the conductor. I did try to import the ticket or booking numbers provided into SNCF's own app to get electronic tickets, however, that proved unsuccessful. But let's turn things for a moment and talk about how much potential value you can receive by using this service instead of booking separately. Here, things are actually quite good, as Air France was charging fewer of their Flying Blue miles for this onward travel to Strasbourg than for an itinerary ending in Paris. Then there's the train tickets themselves. 3 first-class tickets on board this train would have cost about €200 if purchased separately. So here, it was definitely a win-win. So overall, these Air France plane plus train trips are a good value, a nice idea, and they really just need to work on the documentation and smoothness of the transfer process. As we get closer to our destination, let's have a quick look at the lavatory. All I can really say here is that at least it was working, unlike the one on my Thalys trip. Beyond that though, you better really need to go. Lastly, we zoomed through a tunnel with whizzing lights outside and pulled into Strasbourg station to disembark this evening.
Alright, well that was the TGV inOui here in France. Thanks for coming along. Billy with Gilbert Travels. I will see you on my next trip.
Please remember to like, comment, and if you haven't already, please do subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can be made aware first when more content is available. As always, thanks for watching.